One, two, one, two, one, two. Here we go. Hey everyone, let's talk about Halloween Ends, the final part of the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. This movie sucks. I'm starting right off the bat. Right off the bat. This movie sucks. All of them did. And the Halloween franchise is dog shit. Watch me end the review there. That's how it ends. I'll elaborate. But just so you know, that's the review. Look, I've been going back to watch some of the Halloween movies, okay? I was in the middle of watching the Rob Zombie, the first Halloween movie, which is not very good so far, but we'll see where it goes. Then I realized the new movie was out, Halloween Ends. I was like, oh, okay, well, let's get it over and done with. Wow. Wow. Woo! Almost as bad as the last one. I didn't like the Halloween kind of reboot movie, the 2018 film. I thought it was a wasted opportunity. As a film, it wasn't the worst. Like, it was very passable. Didn't really do anything for me. Didn't find it scary. There was kind of one interesting idea it didn't really develop, which is the parallel between Laurie, what she's become, and the monster that she's been facing all these years. But then, like, Halloween Kills was just like garbage. It was just like a complete mess, complete trash. Not scary, and in fact hilarious, which this movie is too. Okay, this movie has the same kind of vibe as Halloween Kills in that it's a comedy. I expect Leslie Nielsen to come back in one of these movies somehow. You know, like it's almost a spoof of horror movies. I don't think that's what they're going for, though. I think they're going for more of an action movie version of Halloween. But I feel like if you take the scary away from Halloween, you're left with just kind of like people just smashing stuff into each other's faces. Maybe some people find it entertaining. That's just like, it's just a Tom and Jerry cartoon, just in with Halloween, stamped on it. That's not really anything. That's not really a movie. That's just stuff happening. And yet not really happening because it's always the same. This movie is not as bad as Halloween Kills. Maybe. They're basically on a par with each other. Halloween Kills was just relentless hilarity. This has this boring part in the middle of the movie and one sort of almost interesting idea, which makes it kind of a little bit closer to the first kind of movie, like the 2018 movie, not the original. Let's not blaspheme. So this movie picks up a few years after what happened in Halloween Kills, where Laurie Strode's daughter is killed by the end of that movie. And in this movie, she's kind of living with her granddaughter, Allison. They're kind of sharing a house together, and Laurie Strode has managed to turn her life around. I don't really know how, considering that Michael Myers is still out there, and everybody knows this, but no one's kind of freaked out about it. Like, you would think that Laurie Strode, of all people, would be kind of like, we got to search for him. He's got to be around here somewhere. Would be pushing for that. But no, she's just like a nice old lady at this point. She's like, and she's celebrating Halloween and everything. You're like, I don't know. I think there's the one thing she would probably not celebrate at that point. But okay, fine. She's turned her life around. She's kind of in denial a little bit. And meanwhile, there's the story of this dude, some dude called Corey, who he killed like a kid that he was meant to be babysitting accidentally. And it's actually, that's how the movie begins. He's kind of like babysitting this kid in this kind of, this family. They've got a big house. They're about to go to a Halloween party or something. And he thinks there's someone in the house or something. And then he opens the door, slams it into the kid's face. And the kid just kind of crashes down on the ground from the second floor. Like a freaking rag doll. And that was meant to be horrifying, but it actually was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry. The way it was done was so slapsticky and just absolutely ridiculous. And I mean, that's This movie goes one step above the last movie. Like in the last movie, the kills were kind of lame. You know, like there were a lot of them and they were gory, but they were lame. Like there was nothing really exciting. In this one, at least, they're just like, you know what? Screw it. The kills are the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen, and they are. Like the one with the kid at the beginning is probably the most hilarious. Okay, although there is another one later in the movie where I don't I don't even know how to describe this. There's this guy in the radio station. I'll get back to the story in a second. There's this guy in the radio station who's a douchebag. Everyone in this town is a douchebag. And he's like, he's just chilling out, listening to music. Behind him, Michael Myers shows up. And he's, or is it Michael Myers? Okay, I won't reveal the big twist yet. Freaking, like, grabs his head and, like, slams the dude's head on the table over and over again. And at one point, like, you see his face, and it's all, like, it's not even, like, mangled. It's just this, like, goofy ass. It reminded me of, like, the Ghostbusters action figures, the ones that you kind of, like, you squeeze them, and it's like that, this, like, weird face with, like, the teeth all separated and everything. It was the goofiest shit I've ever seen in my life. And then they go one step further. They go, like, 10 steps further now. You think that's the dumb part of that scene, but you know, oh, no. No, that's just the beginning. That's just step one. Okay. After that happens, you see the goofy face that the guy has now, and he's got his tongue out like ah. And then for some reason, the killer like cuts the tongue, okay, of the dude, and then leaves, and the tongue falls on the kind of like record player. I'm not making any of this up. Okay. This is not a joke. This actually happened in the movie. The tongue falls onto the record player. The record player is still spinning, and the tongue just kind of flops around when it reaches the needle every time. It's like, I was just like, I can't believe I just saw that. I can't believe this happened. What? I think I let out, after laughing out loud, I think I let out like an audible, what? Like I didn't understand what I just witnessed. Like this movie forgets it's a horror movie and just thinks it's like Airplane 3 or something. There's just the tone is way off in these movies, okay? The first one almost had a consistent tone, okay? The second one definitely not. The second one was all over the map. This one is just like it goes from 0 to like 1200, okay? And it's just like and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's so erratic. It's so ridiculous. This movie is ridiculous. Okay. So the story, like I said, there's this guy called Corey who accidentally kills this kid. And he's kind of like reviled by the whole town at that point, including, of course, the kid's parents. Well, the mother specifically. He's kind of seen as like this psycho, even though he's actually like a normal guy, or at least he seems like a normal guy. He's just kind of like reviled by the whole town, who kind of pushes him towards a life of misery and revenge and all that stuff. And he encounters, after getting beaten up for the millionth time, he encounters Michael Myers, who has been sleeping in like under a bridge, like inside like some kind of big tube, and there's like homeless people around. So he encounters Michael Myers, and that's when he starts to get closer to Michael Myers, the kindred spirits, you could say, where he starts to like feel the power of the shape and become consumed by the will to just kill everybody in Haddonfield, whatever you call it. And little by little, Corey just becomes insane. Like he becomes Michael Myers himself. He literally becomes Michael Myers. And the one kind of interesting idea that I pointed out, well, almost interesting idea that I pointed out earlier is the idea of Michael Myers kind of sharing the kills with kind of a protege. That idea I don't think has been done before. And so I was just happy to see something kind of new, like a sort of new idea. Like Michael Myers is not kind of the lone killer necessarily that you think he is. It's kind of a passing of the torch kind of thing that he apparently is okay with and he knows about, is conscious that this is a thing that can happen. I don't know. I mean, it's still dumb. Don't get me wrong, it's still dumb. But like we've gone so far with these movies and nothing has moved forward for Michael Myers. It's always the same, always ends up the same. At least there was something a little bit different here, which I appreciated. Having said that, it ends basically in a kind of open ending where, spoilers, Michael Myers dies. He gets completely crushed up. He's gone. Okay, the body is completely gone. But there's a hint that the spirit of Michael Myers, the shape, is not fully gone. So they left it open enough. They killed Michael Myers, fine. Halloween ends. But they left it open enough, just open enough, so the adventures of Corey, whatever his name was, can continue, and the mask is still there, Yeah, I don't know. I would not have gone that way. I would have probably ended up, personally, if I was making this trilogy, this specific trilogy, I would have ended up with Laurie Strode becoming the new Michael Myers. That just seemed like the way to go. But no. Okay. And the rest of the movie, Allison begins a relationship with Corey because she is criminally dumb. She is so dumb. Allison in all these movies, like at the beginning, you're like, oh, she's kind of cool. She's all right. And then halfway through the movie, it's just like you've lost all hope in her. You're like, wow, she's actually just like so freaking dumb. So dumb. And she is in this movie as well. Super frustrating. Really dumb, completely useless. Same thing as the last movie. This character is the worst. Allison is the worst. The worst. She is. She actually is. Jamie Lee Curtis is not very good in this movie. I'll tell you right now. She's not very good. She tries. She tries. She's not very good in this movie. She's not particularly good in the last one. And in the first kind of 2018 movie, she tried to give a performance, and it was good. She did okay in that movie, but man, these last two movies, like the last movie, she didn't do anything. She was just in hospital the whole time, sitting in the bed. In this one, she's walking around, she's doing stuff, she's got a character arc going on, sorta, but her performance is just bland. It's not very good. It's all building up to this face-off between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, which is not very good either. Okay, it's kind of like it's like a Tom and Jerry cartoon in the house. There's nothing scary about it. Everything's shot in a mid shot. I feel like some of these directors who take on the Halloween movies have not seen John Carpenter's original. I feel like they haven't seen it because they don't seem to get it. Like Rob Zombie, for some reason, shoots everything so freaking close. It's all these tight ass like close-up shots with like everything's focus pulling. It's like the freaking he has to prove that he can use a camera, or like that he has a cinematographer who just came out of freaking film school who knows how to use a camera. So he's doing the same thing that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of remake did, which is like, oh, look at these focus pulls and how close we can get, how blurry that background is, the depth of field. And freaking this guy, these movies are just kind of like, how do we shoot this scene in the most boring ass way possible? How do we shoot this scene as if it was like a Will Ferrell movie or something? Here it's like every scene is just like trying way too hard to have some action in it. And it's just like, but it's not about the action. It's about the freaking how scary this dude is who's walking around in the dark during like Halloween. This is what's scary about the original Halloween. It's this dude. You don't really know much about him except that he's completely unhinged. You don't know what his motivations are. You don't know where he's going to be. You don't know why he keeps getting up every time he gets freaking his ass kicked. And yeah, he could be anywhere. He's lurking outside in the dark. There's kids around. It's freaking Halloween. Okay? It's a scary thought. You're alone in a house, babysitting, and there could be a guy like standing behind you in the dark. It's a scary thought. We've all been in a house, okay? At night, it's just you, and you hear something outside, and you kind of freak out. That is what the Halloween movie, the original, captured so freaking well, and why that movie was scary. In these movies, it's just like, how do we make more gushing sounds? How do we make those gushing sounds louder? How do we go... as many times as possible. There's one scene that really doesn't make any sense where someone comes out of this house, okay, like into the pool area, and you see like the killer kind of like do some like stab someone like in the background, but there's no noise. It's all silent. And then it cuts to she turns the light on, okay, and then you see what's happening. Some dude is getting stabbed over and over again. But this time you hear the sounds. This time you hear. It's like, why didn't we hear the squishy sounds earlier? The light switch changed the squishy sounds? I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that sound design. Yeah, these new movies, too loud, too obnoxious, and not conscious of what makes anything scary. Because these last two movies have been a disaster. Okay, in terms of horror movies, these last two movies have been a disaster. Okay, they're not scary in the slightest. They're in fact the opposite. They are laughable. These are laughable movies, laughably bad, but also just freaking funny. Okay, and it's this kind of like disconnect between the tone of these movies where it's like it's trying to be scary and serious. Like it's trying to be serious. It's not trying to be funny. It's trying to be very serious with the story of Laurie Strode. You know, they really try to inject a lot of emotion there and the connection with her and her family. But at the same time, they want to be a grindhouse film somehow and just have like freaking like ridiculous like amounts of gore and like crazy killings that would never happen on planet Earth. They're just like so out there that you can't believe what you're watching. This movie is completely out of its mind. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this one. It's more watchable than Halloween Kills because at least not every single character is, just like, brain dead. Because in the last movie, everybody was just acting so freaking mindless. I couldn't understand why anyone was doing anything in that movie. In this one, it's a little bit like that. But there's less of those characters. There's less of these idiotic characters. Like the dude who's like the doctor guy. There's like a rude doctor guy in the movie. He gets killed. But he wasn't dumb. He was just kind of rude. And that's fine. That's fine. You can have a character who's a douchebag. Who's not like doing dumb things and reacting in a way that no human being would react. He just gets killed. But how was he supposed to know there was a fucking dude like in his pool? Like near his pool, about to stab him 1,000 times. Same thing with the dude in the radio station. I mean, that dude sucks. Like, that dude's an asshole. But how could he have known what was going on? Like, he doesn't do anything that's, like, really dumb. The only ones who do in this movie are Allison, okay, and a couple of the other victims, like, just randoms. Because you spend a lot of time. This movie, oh my God, the build-up. This movie spends way too long setting things up. Oh my God. 45 minutes. This movie spends 45 minutes setting up the rest of the movie. I'm sorry. This is the finale. This is Halloween. Okay, we gotta keep moving. If you wanted to have a dude replace Michael Myers, the last movie is not the time to do it. You got 3 movies to do it. You could have introduced this character in the first movie, and then he could have been the sympathetic, like a good friend of Laurie Strode and Allison, etc. They could have built these characters up, and then in this movie, when he, spoilers again, when he becomes the new Michael Myers, it would be shocking. It would be almost like heartbreaking. You'd be like, oh, I thought this guy could turn his life around or something. He's not even a bad guy, but here he is. He's become the monster, They could have done something like that, but wanting to do all this in one movie is just like, and they waste so much time with these like boring ass, characters. The side character is the same problem as Halloween 2, where it's all these like really boring characters that we spend a lot of time with. And they just get killed instantly. We never, It's funny, like, every so often, in this movie, Michael Myers will just murder someone, and you don't see it. Like, they cut before the kill. And I'm like, this is a Halloween movie. Okay. I guess. Like, why you cut it? It reminded me of that Godzilla movie, the Godzilla movie from like the mid 2000s, where it's just like um, every time Godzilla's about to fight another monster, they just cut. They cut away from that. It's like, let's cut away from Godzilla. What's the movie called? Oh, Godzilla. That's right. Man, I'm so mad. This movie made me so mad. Jesus Christ. This movie's really boring. Except for the few parts where you're like laughing your ass off at how bad it is and how how freaking I don't know. I mad is the word. Apart from like those few moments, like right at the beginning, like the first scene, and towards the end, things pick up a little bit. Once you get an hour into the movie, things kind of pick up a little bit, and more than that, an hour and 50 minutes maybe. Things pick up a little bit. There's more action, I guess. There's a sequence where Corey, who's basically Michael Myers at this point, goes after these bullies, this group of people who were just like messing with him, and those guys are criminally dumb. Like, those guys belong in Halloween Kills. So dumb. Like, there's this girl who like she keeps running in front of the car. Like, she's somewhere to the side, okay? The car is like driving forward, okay? The car's driving forward. She's there. She runs in front of the car and just stands there. And then the car continues. So she runs this way, okay? And there's like this kind of railing, okay, with barbed wire on the top, so like this gate. And she climbs on top, and then she gets to the other side, and she turns around and goes, ah! And then she gets crushed by the car. And then later on, that made me laugh as well. Later on, I think it was, I think it might have been the actual Michael Myers. No, it was Corey still, I think. He just stamps on her head, and her head explodes. I'm like, I don't think that's how bodies work. There's bones in there. You can't just like stamp someone and the head goes. No, come on. Jesus Christ. This movie's so bad. Oh my god, it's like I just saw it, and like my brain is just trying to push it out. My brain's just like, I don't want this. Okay, you keep that wherever, like on the outside. Keep that on the outside. I don't want to deal with all that. Okay, so Laurie Strode in the end gets the upper hand on Michael Myers. Okay, she basically crucifies him to the kitchen table. Okay, and starts cutting him in like weird ways. I'm not really sure what she was. She was trying to make him bleed out, and I'm like, I don't know. Just cut his head off. Really, like at this point, just cut his head off. You know, just grab a freaking like one of these like big kind of not a hacksaw or something, and then just go boom, head falls. He can't come back from that. They already cut his head off at some point in one of these movies, so maybe even two of them. No, they burned him a bunch of times. So I don't know. Like, she's just kind of like, she goes like she's gonna stab him in the brain, but she actually stabs him in like the side. I'm like, what's the point of cutting him on the side of his body? And I don't know. It's just like the whole sequence is really silly. And then Allison, who was like grumpy because Laurie Strode killed Corey. Okay, that happens. Although he kills himself, which again I didn't even buy that. He's like, if I can't be with Allison, I'll kill myself. It's just like, okay, what? A second ago, you were like so mad. Like, I don't know, dude. Even Laurie Strode as well changes her mind very quickly in this movie. Well, like 1 second she's just like, I'm gonna kill you, Michael. I hate you so much. I'm so ready. Like, she has this monologue when she could just kill him. She's like, I'm gonna enjoy this. And then freaking Michael gets out from like the freaking, gets his hand off from the knife and like strangles her, and she's about to die, and she's like, do it. It's like, well, do you want to fight him or not? Do you want to kill him or do you want to die? She was laughing at the idea of being suicidal earlier in the movie, but at this point she's like ready to go. I'm like, I don't know what these people are like thinking in their heads. This movie sucks. In conclusion, this movie sucks. Okay, it's hilarious when it's meant to be scary. It's not scary in the slightest. It takes way too long to set up its dumb story with its barely passable new idea that it's introduced, which is not convincing at all. The new characters suck. They're just like they're all the same character. All the characters that they introduced in this movie and the last one are these kind of like unhinged bullies. Everyone in Haddonfield is an unhinged bully, okay? And they kind of do the same thing that Rob Zombie's Halloween did, where it's just in this movie where they're like, society has turned him into a monster. And this movie's boring as well. Like, it starts off and you're laughing your ass off because of how ridiculous it is. Then you're bored for like 45 minutes, like I said, but it actually is longer than that. If we're honest, it's about you're bored for like a good hour, okay? And then things pick up, but it's shit. Like things pick up, but it's just like for a short fight between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers that ends in kind of like this anticlimactic kind of rubbish, okay? And this big kind of like, oh, the whole town is going to go and destroy the body. It's like, never mind, the freaking Corey is... I would have just thrown Corey in there as well. But, okay, they wanted to leave it open. Fine. And then you hear, like, this voiceover. Laurie Strode's writing some shitty book. It's so over the top. I don't know, man. This movie made me miserable. At least it got some laughs out of me. So it's not a one-star movie, okay? Because at least there's some entertainment value there. You know, there's a couple of images I probably won't forget in a hurry. Man, that little kid at the beginning, dude, I laughed so hard at that. There's a couple of moments in this movie, like the radio station and the kid at the beginning, where I had to rewind. Okay, it's not every day I do this with a movie where I have to rewind to see that moment again. Okay, but I did that. I did that for that first bit because, damn, I couldn't believe what I just saw. And the script is bad. Like, the script is bad. The dialogue sucks. Allison's a horrible character. The side characters are horrible, both on purpose and unintentionally. Yeah, the only character who is sort of interesting is Corey in this movie. But eventually, you know that if they continue the series, he's just going to be Michael Myers again. Michael Myers is boring. Michael Myers is boring as a character. And I'm turning at this point completely on the Halloween franchise. I'm just like, the Halloween movies are dog shit. Like, overall, like, it's a majority of dog shit. Like, that franchise. It really is. Like, I wouldn't say the same thing for, like, some other horror franchises, you know? Like, Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like there's more good than bad. Like, it's pretty entertaining, that franchise. Same thing even, like, with Friday the 13th. Even Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Honestly, like, I'm totally fine with the first 4 movies. You know, Psycho as well. The 4 movies and the remake, not too bad. Okay, not too bad. But man, somehow the Halloween franchise is just dog shit. You got the first one, excellent movie. Second one, boring, lame. Third one, super fun, but nothing to do with Michael Myers. But it's a fun movie. Definitely the way they should have gone with the franchise. Then you got 4, 5, 6. They just all blend into one pile of shit. And then you have H2O, where you kind of perk up a little bit. You're like, oh, this is interesting. It's like Scream, but it's Halloween. All right, I'll watch that. And then you had Resurrection, which I didn't see. Nobody saw, okay, because it looked terrible. Apparently it was. But I really want to see it now. And then you had Rob Zombie just wiping his ass on the franchise. And then you had this shit. 3 bad movies. Well, 1 nearly average movie and 2 bad movies. Not brilliant, guys. Not brilliant. I hope you enjoyed this movie more than I did. At least, have fun with the funny parts. Otherwise, yeah, it's I wouldn't bother. Don't bother. This is kind of not a good movie. Bad movie. Watch something else, okay? Just watch the original again. It's a good kind of Halloween tradition to watch the original every year. And it always delivers because it's a good freaking movie, unlike these ones. Yeah, it's terrible. I expected it to be, and it was, and there we are. But at least it was funnier than I thought it was going to be. So there's something. Thank you for watching this video. It's a long one, this one. I'm going to have to cut it right down. Take care. See you in the next review.